How did you build the confidence to become a leader and even to C-level? You know, that's a huge amount of confidence.
I always have this fear. Like, I think everyone's heard about imposter syndrome. Everyone gets it at some point in their life. The confidence is really built with what you know. And if you don't know, that is okay. Some people drop out after a while, especially women, after they have children, because it's a constant learning environment.
So you essentially were on maternity, you went back and you stepped into a leadership role and just learned on the job.
You've got to trust in yourself. Like, even if you don't know something, that's okay. You need to have that mindset of constant learning. I did make mistakes. There are environments where I didn't know a lot of things, but then you go learn those things.
You can self-help, but even just having someone that you can go to and go, this is what I think, as you're going through that with them, sometimes before they even speak, you've sort of solved your own problem.
Is Copilot going to help them be better engineer? We have seen code reviews, and when they submit, that they've either ChatGPT'd it, or in some cases, they really don't know what they're talking about.
Rajini, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we first spoke back in 2020, peak COVID.
Yep.
Lockdown number 1.
Yes.
You were at the time head of engineering at IRESS.
Correct.
And you were looking at making a move, new role, new company.
Yep.
And we were chatting about that. And then you went to deputy.
That's correct.
VP of engineering at deputy.
Yep.
And now you are the CTO at Beforepay.
That is correct.
Okay, so quite the journey just since we spoke in 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. It feels like a very long time last time I met you, but yeah, it's been a journey. Enjoying what I'm doing, and I obviously enjoyed what I was doing before. Yeah, Beforepay is a very good place to work at. I've been here for a couple of years or almost already now. Like, it feels like time's just running out, and just felt like I left deputy the other day. Still in touch with lots of people at deputy, and time's flown by. And Beforepay as well has grown quite a bit. And happy to be part of the journey as well.
Yeah, so like you say, 5 years ago, and it's gone quick. I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster in tech.
It is. Yeah.
We had COVID and there's a bit of the uncertainty, and then we had the sort of 2 years of tech boom, and we had the last 2 years of bit of fallout
uncertainty,
there.
AI boom, and it's just a roller coaster in technology, isn't it?
It is always,
ups and downs, and things change all the time, and keeps us all on our toes, which is great. Yeah. But also, it's a great learning environment, I think. I don't know which one's worse, being a doctor or being in technology. There's constant learning.
It's unpredictable, lots of learning, which is good. It's what we like, right?
Yeah.
So what got you into tech then?
All right. Well, that's a long story. Back in India, when I was studying, finished school, and Dad said, I'm going to put you in one of these engineering thing where you just type and you learn these things. And I said, what's that? He said, it's something to do with computers. And I said, but I was really interested so my dad was a mechanical engineer, by the way. So I used to go with him to his work and learn how he does things. And he worked in different factories and stuff. So being on the factory, I got a little bit of passion for engineering and appreciation for what people do. So I wanted to do something in this area. My brother was in automobile. He just joined automobile 2 years before me. And I thought, all right, might be cool to join engineering, but I had no clue what it was or what's involved or anything. But when I joined engineering, bit of science, my first year I really, really enjoyed architecture. I also enjoyed electronics, but my dad wouldn't let me shift. He says, no, just do this. It's just easier for girls. And there's already a bias there. You're a girl, just do this. You don't want to go work in factories and stuff. But he had no clue what electronics was either at the time. So it was just a big boom back in 1990. But computer science was the latest and greatest. And here I am.
And were you, looking back at that now, are you happy that he wouldn't let you change, or do you?
I think I'm glad the choice I made. Yeah. I learned a lot, and I still love engineering. I still love computer science, and what it's given me as a career. And I wouldn't have been here without that. So I'm very grateful to my dad for picking my choice of profession.
Seems quite a common thing. I don't know whether it still happens as frequently now, or it's just a bit of a generational thing back then. There's obviously a lot more options now.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of career and things you can do and the access that we've got to information.
Yeah.
Back then it was like there was a certain amount of roles, and you go to uni and you do the course and you get the job, and very, very sort of set way. Engineering essentially, problem solving. So if you enjoy solving problems, I guess it doesn't matter which direction you go in. Yeah, I'd say you probably picked a good one.
I quite enjoy what I do, and you'll find a lot of people who are in this journey. They are learning, and some people drop out after a while, especially women. I find after they have children, because it's a constant learning environment, there is a gap, and then they just settle into their lifestyle, right? And raising children is not easy, so not many people have that passion to keep going at it and being in technology. So it's a hard one for women especially.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because you're learning in all fields, but in tech, it's moving a lot faster.
It is, yeah.
Especially now, like with the AI stuff, it's moving.
Yeah, even
it's
faster.
Like every week, it's something new's coming out. So I can only imagine that if you're taking time off on maternity and then you come back and you've missed a year or two, then
100%.
That's huge.
Yeah, both the times I came back within 3 months.
Oh, really?
Fear of fear of like losing or not being able to catch up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And how was that like? Yeah, how was that?
Look, it is hard, but I had a very supportive husband, and we both made it work. We just here by ourselves, my husband and I. His family's in UK, my family's in India. But we made it work, both of us. And childcare is something that in Australia is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So we started sending them to childcare and slowly worked our way into. I don't know how we did it, actually. Now, looking back, it was crazy.
You make it work, right?
You make it work, yeah. I think adrenaline rushes in and you just make things work.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that about the fear of falling behind. I think that's true just in general for a lot of people. They want to stay up to date with the latest tech, and they don't want to get left behind. But huge one for maternity. And then I guess going back to the start of your career then, because a lot of people who will be watching or listening to this might be individual contributors. They've just finished that degree, that engineering degree, computer science. Now they're software engineers or they're architects, or maybe they're engineering managers and they're looking to take a leap as well. So what was your journey then from individual contribution to leadership?
Look, I would say I was a little bit lucky, and life just happened for me, and it doesn't happen for everyone, but it just did happen. So when I came back from maternity, the first one, my role at the time was being made redundant. So the company I was working for, they just sold the software, and they just gave me a call. Hey, we're really sorry, we just sold the software to someone else, and essentially the entire team was let go. This was during maternity. I said, fine. And then a few hours later, I got a call from the company who bought the software and said, hey, do you want to come and work for us? I said, okay. Literally, that's how it happened. So I just got lucky there. So I joined about a month later at this company. Yeah, and when I joined there, I joined as a technical lead, and I was the only one who knew the software really well, because obviously they bought the software and the code base from someone else. And it was a great journey for me. And I started working with them for a bit. And the person I was reporting to left within about 3 or 4 months. And I said, it's a great opportunity to ask, do you want me to lead the team? So I asked the manager at the time. They said, yeah, but you have to come back an extra day. I was doing part-time at the time, 3 days back with maternity and all. And I went back 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So it was a grind. I made it work. So it was a small team of 3 or 4 people. And that was my first exposure into leadership or managing a team. Little did I know, it wasn't about, I thought I'm just leading the software, but I was actually managing a team of 3 people and their work and how we take that product forward. So it was a great learning. There was no one to tell you what to do and how to do it. But there was a great leader there who I role modeled, and I did follow him to another company later on.
Quite a common theme, that one. I guess back then it was just about who we had in front of us as the mentors. True. We didn't have as much information, I think, as we didn't have podcasts. We didn't have as we had books, but we didn't have. We were
No,
looking for.
there's no playbook. I mean, nowadays you have lots of playbooks,
Yeah.
but those days I don't think a playbook existed. So yeah, it was quite a journey.
So you essentially were on maternity. You went back and you stepped into a leadership role and just learned on the job and just looked at
Pretty much.
your mentor.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I did leave that role and I became an architect at ComSec at the time. Not that because I didn't like management of people, I just didn't know how to do it because there was no one to teach you those days. But yeah, little did I know, if you're a solutions architect in a big firm, you're constantly leading something.
Yeah.
And I learned the skill of influencing because as an architect, no one reports to you, but you're influencing daily decisions and solutions. You have to get your developer across the line. You have to get your network engineer across the line. You have to get the stakeholders across the line. So that can be quite taxing. And you learn those skills on the job.
Yeah.
How to influence, how to get people to listen and get the outcome that you want. And this is the right direction to go. So yeah, that was a good journey as well. Like, I think a lot of the things I have learned in leadership is on the job and by experiencing, by making mistakes.
That's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And with the influence that you're talking about, how to do that, because you don't have the direct reports and you obviously want to get people to go your way. What did you do to try and learn, obviously on the job, as you mentioned, but was there anything else that you did? I think that's a great insight for other people who are wanting to step into leadership to learn how to influence. Would you give any tips or advice? Or
Yeah, definitely. So most of the time, we are very technically indexed and we are very analytical and fact-based. That's how we are indexed in engineering. So that's just natural behavior for us. But what we often forget is we forget to explain things by putting the context of the customer or the problem you're trying to solve. Often people miss that as technical people and you go off in tangents of explaining very technical jargon that nobody understands. So anyone stepping into this type of role, I really advise you always keep customer hat or the problem you're trying to solve and how you're going to solve that with the solution you're providing. So what you're doing by doing that is you're earning trust. So this person knows they employed you because you're technical and they know that's what you're here for. But your sweet spot is really explaining how you're actually solving problems for the customer. Or whoever your customer might be at that stage. And it's super important that you do that and explain in plain English. That itself is a skill without using technical jargon. I'm trying not to use any technical jargon today.
Please don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great insight. Influence, communication, as you mentioned, is a great one. Another one is, I guess, confidence. So how did you build the confidence to become a leader and even to C-level? That's a huge amount of confidence.
I always have this fear. Like, I think everyone's heard about imposter syndrome. Everyone gets it at some point in their life. The confidence is really built with what you know. And if you don't know, that is okay. So it's okay to tell yourself, if you didn't know, you're not a subject matter expertise, that's okay. And you go and learn, you do your research, and that kind of get rid of that imposter syndrome and you gain that confidence. Got to trust in yourself. Like, even if you don't know something, that's okay. You need to have that mindset of constant learning experience, right? And you will get there. I did make mistakes. There are environments where I didn't know a lot of things, but then you go learn those things and you overcome those fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I live in fear all the time? I don't, because once I know my area of expertise, I'm constantly learning that. You eventually get there. That's how I gain my confidence. And there were some people who helped me along the journey. Funny enough, being in technology, it's always been a male counterpart.
Really?
Yes. Throughout my journey. I don't know why, because it's just been the case. Or there's really, really lack of technical women in organizations. So yeah, there's not many people in leadership or role model that I could lean on.
Yeah.
They were in other areas, operations or marketing, but not necessarily in technology. So
yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's when I was in Strife, I have reached out to my counterparts and they would guide me through it, or they'll give me confidence. And yeah, that also helps.
Was that a driver for you, not having the women role models back then and potentially wanting to be one yourself?
Look, I call it, I always pay it forward. And if I can help someone else, I would definitely mentor them or give them advice. And if someone reaches out to me randomly on LinkedIn, hey, I just want to have a call with you, I would never say no to them. So I help them succeed or get to the next step or address their challenges. That's how I paid forward. And I find as women as well, women are not very forthcoming to ask for help, mostly fear of rejection.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to a Seek seminar years ago, about 6 years ago, and they did a talk about that at the time, where they said that if you post an ad on Seek, the stats that they've got and the research they've done, if there's 10 bullet points for what's required to do the role, if a man is missing 5 of those, he'll apply anyway. I'll learn those, I'll pick those up. If a woman is missing 1 of those, she just won't apply.
Yeah.
And that mindset.
True. It's very true, that mindset. I see that all the time. And in my role, I also push the others, like I encourage people to apply. When I left IRESS, for example, some of the women in technology who used to work there, I actually encouraged them to apply for the role. My role was split into multiple different mini roles, and I encouraged them. Like they said, oh, no, I can't do it. But I said, you don't know until you try. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to apply for the role. You're going to interview for that. If you succeed, it's great. If you don't, take the learning from that, right? I do hear that a lot, that women don't naturally go for it if they don't tick all the boxes.
Yeah, I think I saw it somewhere. I think it was on a podcast, but it was about risk, and it was about how men would naturally take more risks than women typically, and that's the reason why. One of the reasons why there's a lot more sort of male entrepreneurs and founders of businesses. It's also why there's more men in jail. But it's like, what can we do to give the females encouragement in tech to have more confidence and to take more risks a little bit to fail?
Yeah, look, there needs to be awareness. There is not enough awareness, and because there is very few women in senior leadership role in technology, it unfortunately falls also on the men in the leadership role to lean in and pull them in, right? Otherwise, it won't happen. And I'm very grateful, and I'll mention this name in the podcast, Paul Gladigo, who gave me my first management experience. And when I met him, I think I was running from an incident and finished the incident, went to my interview late. He remembers this. I made him wait for 15 minutes and I apologized deeply that I was late for an interview and never late for anything. And he said, no, that's fine. Have a glass of water. And then he said, I'd like you to come and interview a few more people on the spot. I was like no one's ever asked me that. But it's the trust he had in me that I can do the job. And we need people like that. We need more people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To lean in and help others and give them that confidence that they can do the job. And here we are.
Yeah, trust. Do you think we're getting better in tech?
It's definitely getting better. I go to events, I do meetups and speaking events. I'm seeing more and more female leaders as well as more and more women in tech. It was back in 2000. I could tell you it wasn't a thing.
No, I was going to say it must have changed so much since you first started out. I can imagine your journey will have been very different to someone's journey now.
Yeah.
But again, like you had your own things to face. So even back then you had the maternities and then going back, not getting left behind. Like, how many times did you do that?
Twice.
Yeah. And so that's very inspiring for women in tech now, because you were able to have children and still achieve, a C-level role. You're a CTO now, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had to work very hard.
It's being resilient, right? Not often. Most people give up.
Yeah.
Most people give up because it's not because it's hard. Raising children and having your career, can you have it all? You can have it all, but you need to be very structured and you need to know what you want in life, right? Everyone give up because it's just, you become a full-time carer for your child, at least for the first 5-10 years, right? Even now, it's still the same. My kids are 18 and 16, but kids always need you at some point, right? So it's important to understand what you want. But if you really want a career, I always knew what I wanted. I never wanted to compromise on those. I had a supportive husband who also helped me through the journey. If you're asking for mentorship, he's one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Guided me through this and also giving me that confidence that I can do it.
Yeah, nice. And is he as career focused as you?
My
husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my husband, he was in recruitment like you.
Oh, wow.
Back in the days.
Is he British?
He is British. He's an Essex boy.
Such a cliche.
It is, isn't it? So what happened was when my daughter started school, it got really tough on both of us. We both had great jobs, and you know how recruitment is. It's got its peaks and troughs, and you're earning really good money when business is great. When business is not great, you all struggle. But it is really demanding environment. You're always on your feet, talking to candidates, talking to customers, and it got really tough when both of them started school. The demands of drop-off pickups become really intense. So we both said, okay, one of us need to stop, like at least for the next few years. And my husband said, I'll take a step back.
Nice.
Which is great, right? Because not often you hear this.
Yeah.
So he took a step back for a few years, become a house dad, and he made a career out of it.
Wow.
Yes. So I told him, I think kids need some stimulation because we both were working. So I asked him to go sign my son up for soccer at local PCYC. He came back and he said, I signed him up for judo. That's not what I said. Anyway, started judo, Warren the sensei, and my husband started doing judo as well. Now he's a black belt and he teaches full-time at that place.
Wow, that is a huge pivot from recruitment.
Yes, very, very huge.
I love that though, because I feel like recruitment is one of those industries where people get into it for various different reasons, but it's not something where your dad goes, go and do engineering or go and be a doctor or go and be a lawyer. It's not that sort of career. It's a career that, like you say, you know, it's a bit of hustle, a bit of grit, bit of like perseverance.
It is.
Like most careers, but like I say, not something that you go and do a degree to get into. So I love hearing those stories where people pivot to other things, and I think you know, most people have got something where they're like more passionate about. Like you say, judo or something, they find another interest. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I bet,
would I have a career as judo or judoka? Probably not. It is really hard. It's tough. You're on your feet all the time. You're working with children and you're teaching them skills to roll safely. So it's not an easy job, I would say.
No, definitely not. But obviously, he must be passionate about it.
He is.
Which is great. And then what from when you started out to now, so I'd say the last 5 years was when you went from, I guess, head of engineering to VP to CTO. So that's a whole nother kind of transition. What was that experience? And
look, I wouldn't say it's a big of a transition because in CTO role is overrated, by the way.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is and what type of organization it is and what type of, or how big your remit is. Like at IRESS, I was leading like 100 people team looking after one particular product domain, right? I went to deputy and it was 50 people I started with, and the product domain was very different. We were very successful in Australia, but we were taking the product overseas. So in US and UK, and we had to be successful across the globe. So you're learning different things in different organizations, and that actually stretches your skill set. So you're growing horizontally. So I don't see all those three things as a ladder up. They were all horizontally different types of roles.
Yeah, of course.
All together, right? So very successful at deputy. We grew the team to 100. Now I think they're like crazy, like 200 people engineering team.
Scaled a
being
lot.
very successful. So we just went and multiplied it from being a single product to multi-product, as well as going across the globe. So the skills you learn as a result is very different. So you're scaling horizontally, you're learning different skills. Now, in saying that, Beforepay, I actually took a step back. When I started at Beforepay, there were 10 engineers, right? But that's not what attracted me to the role. It's a smaller company. I wanted to create an impact. So how do we run, although it's a listed company, it's still a very entrepreneur nature. It's a very small organization. People were vested in solving problems. And it really attracted me working in a small organization. Now the team's about 20, 25, the engineering team, but absolutely love being hands-on.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? When you're leading 100 people team, you don't get to be as hands-on as you want because you're growing the team. That's your mandate, is to grow the team, grow the product, scale the business. But here the mandate is very different. So we're creating new things. We all are solving problems together, like including the CEO, right? So it's very exciting to be. So the transition, I would say, is really growing your skills horizontally and you're learning different skills.
Yeah, I think we mentioned on the phone, didn't we, that at the same time I was talking to you about an opportunity when you were looking to leave IRESS, was the same time that we were also doing some work with Beforepay, but they were called Check.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were called Check back then.
Yeah.
And we did a little bit of work, helped them with some engineers, some contractors. They were a very small team, handful of people.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 5 years, I see you growing a lot, you're scaling, you're the CTO, lots going on there.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
It is, yeah. It's a great place to work. I really, every day I wake up and I actually want to be in the office. We do. So 3 days a week.
3 days?
Monday, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's nice to see people after the whole COVID situation. It's nice to see people in the office. But we also, Wednesdays are no meeting day. We try and not have meetings, so head down, get work done. And Fridays we work from home. So, but look, nowadays, if you're not hybrid, it's not a very attractive workplace. You need both. You need a lot of interaction, collaboration, problem solving, but you also need that downtime to get job done.
Yeah, I agree. I think being intentional with your days, isn't it?
I think so.
So knowing we're going to be in the office these days, like you mentioned, no meeting on Wednesdays, or we're going to be at home these days. And so it's headphones in, deep focus, no outside noise. Yeah, but that requires being structured again.
It does. And also it comes down to being disciplined about what you want to get and how you want to create an impact, right? Otherwise it becomes really hard to manage. For me, impact is super important. Whatever role you're doing, whether you're a CTO, VP, leader, impact is super important. Are you making a change? Leave the place better than you found it. Yeah. And it gives me satisfaction.
Yeah, I feel like with the remote working versus in office, we all need boundaries. And that was a mistake that we made as a business when we were hiring. We got caught up in 21 and 22. Yeah. Everyone was trying to hire. So everyone wanted to look as attractive as possible.
Yeah.
It's come and work here. And we're flexible. So just do what you want. Yeah. If you want to come in every day, you can. If you don't want to come in, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But then what you realize is it's better to be hybrid and be flexible, but have boundaries so everyone knows what the expectation is. Yeah. And then nobody can sort of get annoyed or be resentful or just really clear, we're flexible, but we're hybrid and these are our days that we go in.
And don't be dogmatic about it. Sometimes life happens, right? Mm-hmm. Tuesday you got inspection or you got something else on. Just let your people leader on, let your people you're working with know that you're not going to be there, you're going to be late. I think that's super important. I think no one will question you if you're delivering value, right?
Yeah, always.
That's it.
It's the same again, though. It's because we did say that we're outcomes focused, but still I feel like there needs to be people just crave a little bit of structure and of some boundaries and just knowing what's going on.
So whose job is it to set the tone?
It's the leader's job to set the tone.
Exactly. And also it's leading by example. I'm always there Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So if you want people to follow you and if you want to set boundaries, you need to lead by example. And it's the case with most of the leadership teams. If you don't do that, then people go, hey, she's not turning up. Why do you expect me to turn up?
It's very true.
It's important.
Do you find that you mentioned about being a little bit more hands-on again because it's a smaller team? That was always a big thing I found when I was speaking with hiring managers and they were hiring leaders, is they wanted people who could lead and manage and do all the people side of things, but also not that they were going to be necessarily coders, but they wanted them to have the
Problem
respect.
solve, yeah.
Yeah, problem solve and have the respect of the engineers. So the engineers like knew that they could do it, and if they needed to, or from time to time they'd jump on.
Yeah.
What's that been like at Beforepay?
Everyone is very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have engineering managers who are full-time just managing people or managing the squad. Even our deputy was the same. We have engineering managers who are hands-on because they are delivering an outcome for that squad. So it's important you understand the problem you're solving and the technology you're evolving, because big companies, you always start with some sort of legacy. So you need to move that technology forward. That means you're making technical decisions on how you're going to move that forward. Right? So that's what I mean by hands-on. Hands-on doesn't mean you got to sit there and do, well, it'll be great if you do code reviews, but if you don't, that's fine. But it's important you're there in the technical decisions teams are making and helping them move forward, right? That's what I mean by being hands-on. I think the notion of engineering managers just managing people as full-time is gone.
Yeah.
They're not. Yes, they are people leaders, they're coaching people, but they need to earn the trust of the people, but also of the management, that they know what they're talking about, right? So if you're not technical, it's going to become really hard, especially now.
Yeah.
Especially now there are so many ways to learn new things, and the time horizon has collapsed. So you can learn things, you got access to information, you can learn anything that you want nowadays, right? So it's important you're thinking that, and there's not going to be a purist role of management. And that's true even for managers or CTOs.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of that in the last couple of years as we had the sort of downfall of tech. It was lots of companies to be more aware of costs were getting rid of layers of middle management. Do you think that, and that's still happening now, it's still happening over the last few months?
Look, I would say that those roles will shift. I wouldn't say it'll go away, but it will become a more specialized roles. There will still be a need for people to coach others. Yes, to some extent, everyone can self-help, but I think that experience counts.
Yeah.
There will still be a need for that role, but it will condense, like the time horizon will condense. So people need to be learning new things all the time.
Yeah. I think, as you mentioned as well, you can self-help, but even just having someone that you can go to and go, this is what I think, as you're going through that with them, sometimes before they even speak, you've sort of solved your own problem.
Yeah.
So just having that is valuable.
Yeah, it's validation, right?
Yeah. Easy job for the manager, just sit there and listen.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you mentioned about the fast sort of feedback we've got to learn things now, how that's changed. And obviously one of the things that we know is changing that as well is AI.
Yep.
Is speeding things up with the time horizon. So what are you doing at Beforepay at the moment to keep up to date with that?
Lots of different things. When I'm saying AI, I'll just qualify that for you a little bit. AI has been there for a long time. I think what's boomed in the last, since ChatGPT came out, is just generative AI. The nature of general purpose AI helping us to work efficiently has changed. That landscape is changing. Going to change very fast, I think. So it's a bit like electricity and other things that's kicked off very quickly. The time horizon or how rapidly that's changing is very different to what we've ever seen. So I'll talk about Beforepay. Beforepay is an ethical lender. We always had AI in the way of we have our own credit risk assessment, which is built on machine learning. Is it an AI? Kind of is. It's very specific to solve a particular use case. And we've been doing that probably since, I don't know, when you met Czech.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been doing it for a while, been grinding away. We've gotten better and better at it. And we launched Carrington Labs last year, which is basically taking those credit risk models overseas like a SaaS solution. We're really excited about that we have actually grinded away on it. We got it to a really good state where we think others can leverage that, other lenders can leverage it. So we're doing that. In terms of generative AI, there's lots of different tools that's available to us, and we use them Beforepay today. You name it, ChatGPT, Copilot, CodeRabbit. There's new ones popping up every day. So we try and adopt them and use them in a way that is safe and secure for our business.
Okay. And with the way that you hire in engineering, has that changed at all?
No, I don't think so.
Not too much.
We're still hiring talent, and we're still asking people. I do ask this question, and engineers it's mixed, right? It's a mixed opinion on, is Copilot going to help them be better engineer? Some people would say. Some people would just, like we have seen code reviews, and when they submit that they've either ChatGPT'd it, or in some cases, they really don't know what they're talking about. Most engineers fall short in system design. It's problem solving, right?
Yeah.
It's critical thinking and problem solving. That's where they fall short. And we still need those sorts of people. I wouldn't say engineering jobs will go away. It will just become a lot of them. I won't be hiring someone to just sit there and code.
Yeah. The bar's lifted.
Bars lifted. I want someone to come and work with product and the business to solve problems.
Yeah, because that is the thing that keeps on popping up. It's like, is it going to help us as a tool, or is it going to replace us? And there's that whole.
It's both. It's a bit of both. But is it going to replace us? Maybe in 3-4 years.
Yeah,
it won't replace entire unless maybe, I don't know. But I don't think it will replace human beings.
Yeah.
But your job will become more and more about problem solving and critical thinking, and how you're going to enhance the business by adding value. So it'll become important that people think about that.
Yeah. And so now with your, what did you say, 18 and 17? 16 and 18. Yeah. So what advice are you giving to them now about the start of their...
That's funny you say that, because I didn't ask my son to go into engineering. It was his choice.
Yeah.
So he just started at UNSW. But yeah, he's doing flexible engineering. I keep telling him, choose whatever you want. And he's not sure yet.
So flexible engineering covers all aspects, just a more high level.
The first year, it covers all aspects. Then it gives you a flavor of where you want to index on, whether you want to do mechanical or civil or computer science or whatever they want to do.
Yeah, okay.
So it's probably a good choice. Let's see where he lands. My advice to them is, it depends what they want to do, right? I'm being in technology. I'm being super paranoid. AI is going to take over my role. My daughter is completely different. She's this creative person, and she was actually in Sunrise this morning.
Wow.
She's in Australian Girls Choir. So she's a very creative kid, and it's a world that I know nothing about. So is AI going to replace all those roles? Probably not.
Yeah, I think if you're creative, lean into that. If you are more of a zeros and ones, logical, engineering mindset, then as you mentioned, critical thinking is key.
Yeah.
Lots of companies that we work with at the moment, more so in the startup space, they're hiring like senior principal staff level engineers, like looking for the best engineers.
Yeah.
Trying to build in AI to enhance their workflow, as you mentioned, Copilot and other tools, not so much hiring juniors to mids in the sort of older, more traditional way.
Yeah.
Where do you see the growth for the juniors and mids, if that's going to continue to happen?
As I say, it'll come down to talent that you have and how you're going to help organization. It is getting harder. So I've heard this from a lot of people. I love grads because I've hired so many grads in IRESS and deputy, and I completely think it's a great way to, the energy they bring is super cool. So keep up that energy. So they bring new energy to the organization. They are smart, really come down to big organizations helping that workforce come in. Yeah, it's not going to be easy in the next year or so, but I don't think it will completely go away, but we all need to lean in and help them. Don't have to go hire everyone, just hire one or two and help the businesses and help the grads come into that ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's even harder for women.
Really? Is there anything that we can do to help that?
What can we do? People like us, like me, like leaders, need to lean in. And I ask the men as well to lean in and help those pool come into the workforce. It's going to be really critical. But how do you keep them productive and how you help and coach them? If we don't make the change, no one else will. Right?
Very true.
And they will all need help in this. Look, we all have learned things differently to the coming generation. The coming generation are going to learn them on ChatGPT or other ways, right? So, but how do we know that's true?
Yeah.
How do we know that's real? So we need to help that generation get better at it. So yeah, it's on us really to help them succeed.
Yeah, true. Because I think with with like your generative AIs, your chat GPTs, now it's easier to go to that to get a faster result, but then you skip the bit where you've had to learn how to actually, because we're going to always gravitate to what makes our life easier, right?
Yeah.
But then it's the difficult parts of our life that actually help us grow.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, going to be a challenge too.
It's going to be a challenge. It's mostly validating the facts. That it could be accurate 60, 70% of the time.
Yeah.
That 30%, how are you making sure it is actually correct? Your assumptions are correct.
Yeah.
But that's life, right? When you move on, you're living your life, you need constant validation of the truth and being true to yourself and being true to whatever you do. So it's important you're validating that and not just taking it face value.
Yeah, that's a great insight. I think as well, you mentioned before how fast it's moving with AI. People are going to have to adapt. They're just going to have to adapt faster.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the panic is, because maybe we had more time to adapt before, and now we're going to have to, it's the same thing. It will be like incremental adaptions, but instead of like yearly, it'll be monthly or weekly, daily. It's just to keep up, just to stay ahead.
Yeah, I think so. And people are going to learn more rapidly, but also there is a lot of panic and people are afraid.
Yeah.
People are afraid because people don't know what it is, or people don't know how it's going to change their job.
Yeah.
So I think it is critical. If you don't know, go understand it. So I think there is a gap. So if there is a gap in your understanding and what it is, then I think take advice from others and learn and bridge some of those gaps is what I would say. Or go do a career change and have an exit strategy like me. Just hire a camper van and I can just live off a camper van.
Is that the plan?
Why not?
Or judo?
Or judo? Yeah, or change your career. Like, find something else you're passionate about if you don't like to be in the role you're in. There's so many problems in the world still not solved.
Very true.
I would like a robot to come and do my laundry.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Apparently there is one.
Already?
Can we make it cost effective for every household? I don't know.
How much are they at the moment?
You saw Elon Musk spinning up robots. Maybe one day it'll do the job.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Have you seen the app product Replit?
No.
It's, I was just watching a podcast with the guy on it who invented it. But it's essentially, you pay a subscription, it's $25 per month. And you go onto it, and if you've got an idea, so for example, your daughter being super creative, she's got an idea, she goes on and she puts it into this app. It can build as if you've got a team of engineers. Now, I've not tested it out yet.
So is it like just build a new app? There's so many of them today.
Yeah. It's like build an app, build me like at the moment, it might be build me a schedule for my family, But essentially, the way that it's going is that if you've got an idea, you can sort of test that idea.
So it's a 0 to 1.
Yeah. So I literally just heard about that like last week. So I've not explored it yet, but I'm like, for someone who's recruited software engineers for 12, 13 years, the same way as software engineers might be thinking, that this is going to...
There's so many of them. Every day there's a new one. So Google has launched something. Claude has launched something.
Yeah.
So everyone's launching. Just give me your idea. Just type in your natural language what you want and we'll go build an app. We'll go build an UI. My chief commercial officer built a whole little app on the weekend. And so there are many tools available. People can get things from 0 to 1. Where I would stress we still need engineers is getting it from 1 to 1,000.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
And another thing about the lesson for younger people now, or just I guess it applies to everyone, but being adaptable, that adaptability is going to become more important as time goes on. Yeah. And jobs change.
Jobs change and be open to those sorts of things. And just learning and doing one thing is not going to help. So I've mentioned this at the beginning, you need to grow your skills horizontally. So that will become critical for you to be relevant. Yeah. So if you're adapting, you need to be able to do, I often hear DevOps engineer or security engineer or people knowing only one niche area and they don't expand and learn other things. So I think that'll be a natural progression And because it's available now, you can learn anything easily. You spend few hours doing research. You might not know everything, but you will learn quickly and you just follow the breadcrumbs.
True. We did used to get told to niche down, didn't we? And now it's more about being a generalist, would you say?
It's both. In my role, I'm a CTO. If you ask me to be a generalist, go sell something, I won't be able to do it.
True.
So
Sure you could.
probably couldn't. Yeah. So it's important know where you want to be and where you want to grow horizontally. But you don't need to be. You can be a generalist if you want to do it all. And if you're working in a startup like ours, you will end up doing some of those. And right. But be open to it. Don't shut yourself down to a niche.
Do you think people who are in that individual contributor position now and want to progress eventually to a leadership position should be focusing on a certain type of industry or company size or anything like that?
Look, since the AI boom, I don't know what's happened to big companies. So it'll be interesting transition to see for those sorts of people. I do find lots of people I interview from bigger organizations, they have this mindset of, okay, I'm an engineer and I don't have to lean in and figure things out because they're always in a squad. They have that comfort of, I'm in a squad of people. It's someone else's job to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I think that will start to disappear.
Do you think smaller teams or startups might be a better?
And like I tell all the engineers we hire, and I'm very transparent in the hiring process, that I don't want an engineer to come and just code. No one's going to give you requirements. Yeah. When I was building software years ago, there was no product managers.
Wow.
Right. You had to go figure out, you have to do your research on what this is and come up with edge cases and solve those problems. I think that will become more real now. So I would ask engineers in bigger organizations to start thinking about.
Interesting.
Failing on it.
Is that one of your key
It's one of our bugbear okay. At the moment.
It is going to be challenging because I think we had the boom of 21, 22 for tech. Lots of people came into the market as lots of engineers, and now companies are hiring again. Companies are in growth mode again. In Australia anyway, for the last 6 months we've seen probably. Yeah. But the bar's high. So there's a lot of people who would have got a job fairly easily 2 years ago who now can't. And the only way, I guess, is they either have to learn more, grow more or pivot. And do more.
It'll become a thing, There'll be more expectations of them. That niche will go away of, I've hired you as a principal engineer just to do this. It's not going to be there. Yeah,
okay. It's going to be wearing more hats.
Adaptation is super important. How quickly people adopt to that change.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
Yeah, all of those things. The market, for the last 6 months has picked up quite a bit across the board. As I mentioned, lots of companies are looking for staff level engineers. Lots of companies want individual contributors. There is more leadership roles on the market now than there was this time last year as well, which is great to see. But and that's with a lot of companies that are about to go through or going through transformation projects and reorgs. So there's still going to be a lot of, and I'm seeing it, lots of restructure and reorganization, but I think this is just going to continue now. It's like, we're hiring loads in this area, but we're cutting in this area. And then in a few months, that might change this area and this area. Yeah. And I think we'll just keep seeing that with what's going on with technology and as you mentioned, with AI now as well.
I think so, yeah. There's constant evolution again.
Yeah, it's scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Is it scary or is it just scary because we don't know what it is? And I think if we leave fear run, then we will all be behind.
Yeah.
We just need to overcome the fear. And the only way to overcome it is to learn these things that we don't understand.
I think there is that general feeling as well of and this isn't just for tech people. This is people who do other roles. It could be in accounting, any role, but know that they need to learn AI. It's going to, take their job, or they need to leverage it, or need to learn more about it.
Yeah.
But there's this feeling of not having loads of time to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's coming. That's causing the sort of some people to be a bit stressed or anxious because they're like, this is happening. It's happening fast. I need to do something about it right now. bit more urgency to it, feels like.
No, it definitely is. I think I mentioned this too. The time horizon is compressed and there is a need to learn that faster or know the information. So information is available. So if you say something to me, I probably won't take your word for it. I can do my research quickly and validate if that is true or not. I think technology for good, use it in a good way, is what I would suggest to people and help everyone grow together. In the end, I think common sense will prevail.
Yeah, that's very true. And is there any bits of actionable advice that we can give to leaders starting out in their journey?
Yeah. Stay true to yourself. Index on solving customer problems. It's super important. Like I speak to so many people and they're very good technically, but they don't put themselves in the shoes of the customer and solving their needs. So super important. Index on that for leaders, and coaching and all those things are super important on how you're going to help the next person take that journey. So help others move forward. That's what I say.
That's good advice. Is there any books, podcasts, anything that you can point people to?
Technical or non-technical?
Oh, either really. I'd say like either leadership focused or technical, anything.
Okay, it's not really a leadership book. The one I really, really love, I think I mentioned this in my blogs and stuff, is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
It's a great book for self. Just what you are, just identifying your own self and improving on those. I've learned a lot from that book. I still use it quite a bit, some of those tips. Very good book. The other one I really loved reading, and if you're in the startup world trying to get 0 to 1, is a book called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. The Nike.
Yeah.
And it's a really warming story, but how he got there is also super interesting. I really love that book. Those are a couple of the non-technical ones. If you're talking about technical books in the AI world, can't remember the name. It'll come back to me. I read a book recently by Mustafa Suleiman.
Google?
Yes, really good book. I learned a lot about how as a technologist I can solve problems for the greatness and the goodness, but also the decisions I make on a daily basis, how it impacts people and the future of the world. So it's a really great book. I encourage everyone to read that.
I think that's a good frame for just how to keep yourself on track. If you're doing something and it has, you need some sort of meaning or purpose for it to attach to, for you to stay on track when it gets tough or stressful, or you think, why am I doing this? It's tough.
Yeah, especially people in senior roles, you have a lot of power to make decisions. All I suggest is make good decisions and be true to yourself.
Yeah. Atomic Habits, so you mentioned that's, I read that one as well. I think that's one that you should probably read each year.
Yes.
Because it's almost, I think a lot of books are like that. Yeah. There's a lot of books, but especially that one, because it's a reminder that your habits form who you are. Yeah. And you forget that because you become habitual.
Yes.
I think it's something like 95% of us are 95% of what we do is like autopilot.
It is.
And like 5% we're conscious of. Yeah. We feel like it's the other way around.
Yeah.
But really we're just, sort of, when you read that book, it sort of makes you sort of finish it and go, it sounds so easy. I basically just program my habits and I can have whatever life I want. But then you forget, or you get
complacency.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's a great book recommendation. I haven't read Shoe Dog, but I do know about it. Watch the Nike film. But yeah, I'll put that on my list. That's a great one. Yeah, any other bits of advice?
No, look, I constantly, the reason I think I'm successful is because one is, I think I mentioned this, index on solving problems for customers, your customers in a professional world. Don't lose sight of bias at workplace, and we all are human beings and it is a very natural thing for us. So just remind yourselves of that, but as a leader, super important. And keep learning. Don't give up. And women out there, don't give up.
That's a great insight. How are you balancing at the moment your work and your family and your health? And that's always a thing that pops up.
Thanks to Atomic Habits. I do have some habits that when I do become complacent, I have to remind myself and do that. I optimize for efficiency all the time. So if there's a quickest way to get somewhere, I have planned how I'm going to get there in the quickest way possible.
On the
But I'm
Vespa this
also
morning?
trying to, yeah, like today, this morning, I had to ride here and then I knew I still wanted to walk because I missed my morning walk today. So I walked from where I parked to here just to get some steps up. So yeah, I walk a lot and I optimize my walk by listening to books. So I can do two things at the same time. Right? It's a great way of learning, but also it's my Zen moment. That's how I keep up with my health in healthy habits. And it's getting easier. My kids are 18 and 16. They need less and less help in terms of day-to-day stuff. So I have more time for myself now, where I can do things, I can learn new things. So yeah, it's getting easier as kids are getting older.
Yeah, job done.
Job done.
Two jobs done.
To whomever have young children, you only have to wait a little bit more until they become
18
a
years.
little bit older.
Do you find it hard to switch off?
I do. It's always been my problem. If you ask my husband, he will tell you that I've got no off button.
Yeah, I could tell because when you, and I'm exactly the same, but when you said you're always optimizing for efficiency.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, say it's Sunday and you're like, you got some time to yourself.
Yeah.
You just think, you sort of,
what am I going to do? Yeah.
why aren't I being efficient? I'll go for a walk. That'll be good for my health. I'll listen to but even then, it's sometimes, if you've ever had those days where you do manage to, I don't know if you do anything else in terms of like health and well-being, but if you do manage to do that, and you have that day where you give yourself the opportunity to switch off guilt-free, which is the important word, you always feel a lot better, like you've recharged.
Yeah.
But how have you managed that?
I do that. Sometimes I can binge watch something and totally something random that's got no purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's how I relax because otherwise my mind just wanders off. Maybe that's the only way I relax. When I go for my walks, I do relax. Although I'm listening to something, I do have a way of relaxing myself and just calming down. My husband will tell you I do love my beauty sleep.
Yeah.
Yes. So if I don't get enough sleep, I do get grumpy. So healthy habits, if you want to get into it, make sure you get enough sleep. Make sure you eat healthy at least 4 days in a 7-day week. You can't do it all the time. You're out and about and it's not always possible, but at least try and get into that habit. The other ways I stay healthy is I don't eat at least for 12 hours in a stretch, at least 3 or 4 times a day. Give your body a rest. Yeah. Yeah. Those are some of the things that I do to just relax and calm myself down.
Yeah. I feel like you're a very ultra efficient person.
I don't know about that.
Well, it's been great to have you on the podcast, Rajini.
Thanks for having me.
Really enjoyed speaking with you. And
Me too.
Yeah, thank you.
We can now go get our breakfast.
We can, yeah. I'm starting to get a bit hungry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.